It's the Rob Carson Show. Are you ready to be podsmacked? Now, here's Rob Carson.
We are knocking on the century mark, guys. Episode 99 of the podcast. The numbers are growing. The reaction is growing. The Twitter followers are being added every single day. The Facebook followers are being, friends, I should say, are being added every day. And I greatly appreciate it. A lot of stuff going on. And I want to thank you, first of all, for listening. And I would encourage you, if you wouldn't mind, please share this podcast with others. Downloadable on iTunes at The Rob Carson Show. A host of other different places you can find it, including SoundCloud, Audio Boom, Libsyn. I don't even know where to start. Oh, also YouTube. I'm on YouTube as well. I have a YouTube channel. I need more subscribers so I can change the URL. So you can just go to YouTube, Rob Carson, okay? Or Rob Carson Show. So I'll post the right now YouTube URL on my Facebook page. I'm not meaning to sound confusing. I know it sounds a little confusing. But anyway, just go to Rob Carson Show on Facebook. Rob Carson Show on Facebook. Hopefully my 100th podcast, the next podcast, I'm going to announce a brand new sponsor for the show. We have two sponsors on the radio program, and I am actually making previous employers a little bit nervous because advertisers are interested in my show. And this is mostly right now Kansas City centric because I did a show on the radio in Kansas City for 2 years. But also there's some interest in Maryland from sponsors as well as the show continues to grow. And right now, our first official sponsor, Grass Monsters KC. Now, I know I've been talking about Grass Monsters KC for a while. They sell commercial mowers. They sell residential mowers, American-made, badass mother effers. I mean, unbelievable. Dixie chopper mowers made in Indiana. These Hustler mowers that are made in Kansas. Damn, these things are so badass. Hey, I know it kind of just appeals to dudes, right? It just kind of, but man, there is nothing like a zero turning radius mower and a 60-inch deck. It just is so freaking sweet. Just go to grassmonsterskc.com. Grassmonsterskc.com. They're at 5520 Raytown Road in Raytown, Missouri. Otherwise, you can Google just Hustler mowers. Don't go, just Hustler. You're going to get a magazine that is not as popular as it was when I was in high school. And then also you can just Google Dixie Chopper if you live in Maryland or whatever and you're not near the Kansas City area. But grassmonsterskc.com. Make it a favorite, and you're going to like it. So, and the swag line's moving. All right, now this is the politically incorrect stuff that I have online right now. Right now, you can get it at tpublic.com, teepublic.com, and just look up Conservatees, all right? And now we're also on teespring.com, Conservatees. I'll post both the links on the Facebook page at Rob Carson Show. For many reasons, one of our designs, which is you can't coexist spilled with religious symbols when some want to kill you, is gaining popularity for a lot of reasons. Now, this isn't about Islam. This isn't about Islam. This is about radical Islam. And you've got to be able to say Islam and radical in the same sentence. It cannot be just terror. It's radical Islamic terror inspired by those who supposedly take the Quran out of context, but not really. So we're going to get into what happened in Manchester last night. This is the 23rd of May, 2017. Does it get really any worse than attacking an Ariana Grande concert where you know that the people who attend there are going to be moms, generally dads reluctantly, and kids in elementary school, preteens. That's mostly it. And some in high school as well. That's what happened. What sort of evil does that says, I know that young girls and their moms, their parents, going probably to their first concert, we're going to lay waste to them. We're going to shred them. We're going to tear them apart with bolts and glass shards and ball bearings. Pardon my expression, and I'm a Christian, but God damn you to hell, you sons of bitches who did this. I am sickened by this. We're going to get into the reaction from some, including the president. We're going to get into how Barack Obama reacted to major terrorist attacks versus Donald Trump on this one. We're going to hear from the mayor of London, who is a completely dickless loser with regard to this whole multiculturalism. And it's so important. And even in London, and listen, when we were attacked on 9/11, there wasn't a massive spate of hate crime against Muslims. It's really pretty remarkable because we're always painted as such, hillbilly rednecks who want to immediately go out and kill some brown people. But that's what they're doing in London now already. And you know what? I'm just getting damn sick and tired. You know what I'm getting damn sick and tired of? Candlelight freaking vigils. I'm getting tired of candlelight vigils after these sons of bitches kill a bunch of people. And sitting here and going, we need to come together and we need to coexist and all this. No. We need to be pissed about it. Piers Morgan, UK Daily Mail, lib, fired from CNN because he was just a douche. Even he's saying, this is enough. And now Piers Morgan, by the way, was very close to an attack in London a few weeks ago where an Islamist took a vehicle and ran over people on the bridge near Big Ben. Yeah, you forget about that? You forget about the double-decker bus a few years ago where they blew the top off it and shredded people? The Islamist attack? You forget about that? And now, if you're thinking about taking your daughter to her first concert, Ariana Grande, probably right up there. Taylor Swift, right up there. Maybe even Miley Cyrus, now that she's cleaned up her act. And this happens.
Oh my God. What's going on? What just happened? What's going on? What's going on? Oh my God. What's going on?
Do you remember your first concert? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Unbelievable. CNN had interviewed a mom and her daughter. Now, my daughter is 11 years old, almost 12. She'll be 12 next month. And this is the mom next to the daughter on CNN. It's a 10-year-old kid. The kid didn't talk. Mom did. And they were at the concert last night, about the daughter's reaction.
But your 10-year-old daughter said to you, the terrorists have come. She knew at 10.
It seemed to be her first thought, which, is devastating, really, when, it just shows the awareness and the sad world that we live in. I try and be honest with her, but I must admit, it was pretty shocking.
But your
your daughter has to recognize, oh, yeah, when you hear an explosion, it's terror. When you were 10 years old, did you think that way? Did you think that when you hear a boom, that a bunch of people are going to die because of Islamic terror? Of course not. Of course not. I swear to God. It's just unbelievable. You know what I'd rather do? Rather than saying that we have to get used to this or that my daughter knows that this is happening. And I know we're never going to return to the innocence of my childhood and maybe your childhood. And if you're a Gen X or even a millennial, I mean, your lives were fairly idyllic compared to this. And the millennials changed a little when 2000, when 9/11 happened. But I want you to listen to this. BBC anchor Katty Kay was talking on Morning Joe this morning about how people in Great Britain and maybe around the world are just going to have to get used to this. All right? Are just going to have to. Are you ready to get used to this? I'm not.
News that we're getting from the Manchester police this morning, the statements that they're putting out of mothers that they found who are still looking for their daughters and daughters that they found who are still looking for their mothers, and they can't find the rest of their families. And I think that's what is making Europe is getting used to attacks like this, Mika. We have to, because we are never going to be able to totally wipe this out.
Not going to get used to it. That's like saying, you know what, we're just going to have to get used to those Nazis destroying the Jews and their businesses. We're just going to there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it. So we're just going to have to get used to it.
As ISIS gets squeezed in Syria and Iraq, we're going to see more of these kinds of attacks taking place in Europe, and Europe is starting to get used to that. None of us are used to having children targeted in this way, younger.
Yeah. Well, we're not used to it now, but you obviously are saying that we need to get used to it, you dimwit.
Girls targeted in this way.
This girl's going to see a concert. What the hell? You know? Remember Timothy McVeigh? He targeted the federal building in Oklahoma City. There was a daycare center in there. And it doesn't get any lower than this, guys. And it's time to be pissed about it. And it's time to say, F candlelight vigils. I mean, it's great you have a candlelight vigil afterwards. But I want to prevent candlelight vigils from happening. I mean, it's all great and fine and dandy. We all come together and we sing Kumbaya and we light candles and we put flowers. But you know what? Bullshit. Nice piece out of USA Today today. The U.S.-led coalition has increased the number of bombs dropped on ISIS targets 50% this year. Total of 14,192 rockets, bombs, and other munitions were dropped in the first 4 months of this year. Thank you, Donald Trump and the administration, and untying the hands of the U.S. military, up from 9,442 during the same period in 2016. All right. The expansion of airstrikes can be contributed to the increased pace of operations in both Iraq and Syria. This according to Lieutenant Colonel Damian Picard, not Captain Picard, spokesman for the Air Force's Central Command. I love this. And we're not calling them ISIL anymore. We're not calling them ISIL anymore. We're calling them ISIS. The only person calling it ISIL was Barack Obama. There was a comparison earlier today of Barack Obama. Well, Donald Trump today, after Manchester, while he is in, I believe he was in Israel when he made these comments, because he just came from Saudi Arabia, versus Barack Obama when it came to the Pulse nightclub murder, the largest mass murder terrorist attack. I mean, other than obviously 9/11, but this is the largest mass murder involving a gun in the history of the country. Here is a comparison between Donald Trump today and Barack Obama after the Pulse nightclub.
I extend my deepest condolences to those so terribly injured in this terrorist attack, and to the many killed and the families, so many families, of the victims.
The FBI is still gathering the facts about what happened in San Bernardino, but here's what we know. The victims were brutally murdered and injured by one of their co-workers and his wife. So far, we have no evidence that the killers were directed by a terrorist organization overseas.
However, the FBI had been investigating the guy when he left the country and found his wife and came back. They were investigating him because he was a radical Muslim. His wife was a radical Muslim. They were investigating them, and Barack Obama's troops called off the investigation because It had the word Islam in front of it. It had the word Muslim in front of it. And they didn't want to stereotype or be politically correct with regard to these two, even though all of the signs were there. Salman Abedi. He is the right now, the terrorist who appears to have done the bombing at the Ariana Grande concert. All right. The police apparently already knew about this guy. But the same shit is going on in Great Britain as was going on during the Obama administration when the Pulse nightclub thing happened. When San Bernardino happened, there were signs there. When Fort Hood happened, and there is a radical man there who committed the acts of terror at Fort Hood that on his business card, paid for by the DOD, said, "Soldier of Allah." How much more of this crap do we need to hear?
Or that they were part of a broader conspiracy here at home. We also need to make it harder for people to buy powerful assault weapons.
There you go. You immediately go to gun control, you idiot. Unreal.
Like the ones that were used in San Bernardino. I know there are some who reject any gun safety measures, but the fact is that our intelligence and law enforcement agencies, no matter how effective they are, cannot identify every would-be mass shooter.
So many young, beautiful, innocent people living and enjoying their lives murdered by evil losers in life. I won't call them monsters because they would like that term. They would think that's a great name. I will call them from now on losers.
Now, this kind of reminds me. This is how a New Yorker calls people. All right, this is a New Yorker who I don't know how to say this. I wouldn't have said losers. I would have said medieval devils from a. I don't even know what I'd call it. I wouldn't call them losers. But this sounds like a New Yorker getting ready for a fight. These are losers. I wouldn't have used it, but yeah, okay, all right.
Because that's what they are. They're losers.
Today marks the most deadly shooting in American history.
Okay, so he's acknowledged the Pulse nightclub, which was ungodly. It was essentially what happened during the Eagles of Death metal concert in Paris a couple years ago, where I think 90 people were slaughtered by terrorists with assault weapons. Very similar, but it happened in the U.S.
The shooter was apparently armed with a handgun and a powerful assault rifle.
Assault rifle. You don't see radical Islam. All you see is the gun.
This massacre is therefore a further reminder of how easy it is for someone to get their hands on a weapon that lets them shoot people in a school or in a house of worship or a movie theater or in a nightclub.
I'm so glad that man is not the president anymore. ISIS has said, and they're claiming responsibility, and some people are saying that ISIS may not be responsible. We have to get to the bottom of this. They are saying that in the wake of the Manchester Arena bombing, which, by the way, they're saying has killed 22 and injured 120, the worst terror attack Britain has seen since the 7/7 London bombings. They're saying now the next thing to do is they're going to run over people with vehicles. That's the next thing. It's easy to do that, guys. I mean, it's easy to do that. Any doofus could drive a vehicle that they hijack or even their own vehicle into a crowd of people and kill people. And it's sickening. So Barack Obama, I'm assuming, well, no, I'm not assuming. He's not, I won't say intelligent enough, but he is so out of touch with reality that he's not saying you should stop letting people drive cars, or you should not allow vehicles in large areas, for instance, malls. Now, we already got that. We've got the in Target, you have these big red concrete balls out in front of the doors. You've got in front of malls, you've got big concrete pillars in front of them. But the president never called for a ban on cars, never called for a ban on trucks and whatnot, but immediately called for a control on guns, even though most car driving people don't attempt to run over people and kill them. All right. Most gun owners in this country do not go out and want to kill a bunch of people. But that doesn't matter because guns bad, guns bad. That's what Barack Obama preached for years. ISIS group says that today we fight on our land, tomorrow on your land by Allah's permission. Soon the vehicle attacks will be witnessed on your streets by Allah's permission. So that's coming. There's no, and don't act like it's an absurd comparison. Because there are hundreds of millions of guns in the country, in the United States of America, and very few attacks by those who have guns. The same goes with hundreds of millions of vehicles in Europe and whatnot, and a few being used to run over people near Big Ben or in Paris, a tractor trailer. All right? So don't even go there. Wherever we decide, wherever ISIS decides to find a weapon, they're going to find a weapon. They're going to find a weapon. That could be a bomb. That could be a car. That could be a gun. Sadiq Khan. Kind of sounds like a movie villain, right? Sadiq Khan. He's the mayor of London. We'll get into some sounds from Sadiq Khan. Maybe he hasn't changed it too. One of the things that really tears me up is an 8-year-old Safi Rasus, 8-year-old kid. She was killed, probably going to her first concert. There were some other folks, 18-year-old Georgiana Callender, 26-year-old John Atkinson, among those killed. 12 were children killed. 59 taken to the hospital. 60 others treated at the scene. They think that a device was perhaps created for this Salman Abedi. I want you to think about this. Your daughter's first concert. Your daughter survives. A man on the scene told how he cradled a dying woman and saw a little girl with her legs blown off. Well, that sounds like Boston, doesn't it? Another eyewitness told the UK Daily Mail, you saw a young girl screaming, "I don't know where my sister is." The first concert. Here are some other sounds. Excuse me. Here are some other sounds from what happened at the Ariana Grande concert last night. A guy named Andy was at the show talking to the BBC about how he was near the epicenter of this thing.
As I was waiting, an explosion went off and it threw me through the first set of doors, about 30 foot to the next set of doors. When I got up and looked round, there was about 30 people scattered everywhere. Some of them looked dead, might have been unconscious, but there was a lot of fatalities. So my first thing was to run in the stadium, try and find my wife and daughter. When I couldn't find them, I went back out, and with the police and the fire and ambulance, whoever was there, I looked at some of the bodies, trying to find my family.
Dear Lord.
But luckily, they weren't there. Managed to find them outside the arena and got them back to the hotel we're in. But I phoned up because so many reports coming in that it was like a balloon and things not happening as it was. It was definitely an explosion, and there's definitely a lot of fatalities.
How many of these instances do we need to hear that we aren't impacted profoundly and we don't react the way we did in 9/11. We don't react Remember the main. We don't declare war on ISIS. How many of these do we have to have happen? Now, this is Great Britain, obviously, but dear God in heaven, it's happened here. The Pulse nightclub, San Bernardino. I'm so tired of this crap. Give peace a chance, F that. Coexist, F that. And it's not an attack on Islam in general. It is an attack on radical Islam and common effing sense, using common effing sense, I might add. Not an attack on common sense. God dang it, guys. What do we need to do? We've not responded with hate to Islam. I don't think Great Britain has responded to hate with Islam. They're allowing rampant immigration from countries that sponsor terrorism. Oh, but that's like Islamophobia, right? Isn't that Islamophobia? Donald Trump had a speech in Saudi Arabia on, I believe this was Saturday morning. He's sitting in a room of royalty in Saudi Arabia. He's sitting in a room of imams in Saudi Arabia. And by the way, I'll just go ahead and say, Saudi Arabia in 2001, 9/11, 2001, the number one export from Saudi Arabia was oil and terror. I remember this. 13 of the hijackers came from Saudi Arabia. Were they sponsored by the Saudi government? I don't know. But would you rather have a president who speaks like Barack Obama or somebody who speaks like Donald Trump going into what could be the den of lions and saying things like this?
A better future is only possible if your nations drive out the terrorists and drive out the extremists. Drive them out. Drive them out.
He's in a room. And it's kind of interesting because he's in a room with a bunch of Islamists. He's in there with the Saudi royalty. He is the first president in a very long time to walk in and say, pardon the expression, hey, motherfuckers, I'm the president of the fucking United States. And we could blow you bitches to hell. Sorry. I know. I try to temper the language. But he walked in there and he said, okay, yeah, we're still the United States. And we're kind of sick of this shit. And we're not going to take it anymore. So I'm going to be real kind and gentle and all that stuff. But I'm going to deliver a message to you real quick that the shit ends now.
Of your places of worship. Drive them out of your communities. Drive them out of your holy land. And drive them out of this earth. A better...
Drive them out of the earth, baby. Drive them out of the earth. When you think about it, you won't get credit. He won't get credit in the American media. Donald Trump going into the den of lions. And I'm going to say, not really the den of lions, because honestly, some of the larger Islamic states not Islamists, but Islamic states in the world, they're a bunch of pussies. They don't have the money. They don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the capacity. They don't have the technology to be powerful world leaders. So if you go in there and say, you know what, here's the deal, kids, we're going to fix this. Or we're going to economically impact you. We're going to economically impact you. We're going to possibly militarily impact you. Think about this. The power of the American fossil fuel industry is already killing OPEC. They ran over us forever. And we got a president coming and going, really? You know what? Here's the deal. You fix this crap, or we're going to produce more. We're going to militarize. We're going to rebuild our military. You're either with us or without us. Have you heard that from Barack Obama? Did you hear that from him? Here's Donald Trump talking to Islamics, not Islamists, Islamics in Saudi Arabia. Now, it's bad enough that Barack Obama could not say radical Islam in front of Congress or in front of anybody. Donald Trump could have chosen, I'll just call it, whatever, terrorism, whatever. He went into the heart of it, and he said, radical Islam.
There is still much work to be done. That means honestly confronting the crisis of Islamic extremism and the Islamists and Islamic terror of all kinds. We must stop what they're doing to inspire, because they do nothing to inspire but kill. And we are having a very profound effect.
Now, this is, by the way, on Saturday. The attack was on Tuesday.
You look at what's happened recently, and it means standing together against the murder of innocent Muslims, the oppression of women.
This is not an angry man. All right. This is a man delivering what I think is a brilliant speech. And if you don't like it, kiss my butt.
The persecution of Jews and the slaughter of Christians. Religious leaders must make this absolutely clear. Barbarism will deliver you no glory. Piety, the evil, will bring you no dignity. If you choose the path of terror, your life will be empty. Your life will be brief.
I love that. If you choose terror, your life will be brief.
And your soul will be fully condemned.
What? I thought we got 57 virgins. With regard to what happened in Manchester, Chris Parker, 33 years old, was there. He said, I saw a little girl. She had no legs. I wrapped her in one of the merchandise T-shirts. And I said, where is your mom and daddy? She said, my dad's at work. My mom is up there. He said he thought the child's mother had died from her injuries. Parker said she passed away in my arms. She was in her 60s. And said she had been with her family, haven't stopped crying. There were nuts and bolts all over the place. People had holes in their backs. Listen, I know I'm a daughter of a almost 12-year-old. So obviously it's going to. No, you know what? No, bullcrap. It's not going to impact me more because my daughter is 11 years old, almost 12, and she doesn't give a rat's ass about Ariana Grande. But those were the folks that were targeted by this attack. I asked my daughter today. My daughter kicks ass. My daughter kicks ass. And I just said to her today in the kitchen, I said, do you know anything about the Ariana Grande concert? She's like, yeah, I know. I said, do you want to talk about it? No. And you know why? And I asked her, I said, why don't you want to talk about it? She goes, because it's not going to happen to me. And basically, she's not going to be worried about it. She's not going to fret herself to death over this. God, my daughter kicks ass. She does. I think she realizes that the chances are she's serious about it. She's serious about it, but she realizes that she can't let it ruin her life. She can't let it affect her life. And that's one of the amazing things of my daughter. It's a perspective from somebody who I think is much older mentally than she is physically. You know. Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, another liberal who wants to preach multiculturalism and open borders. This is a video from a couple years ago before he was elected mayor. I've got 3 cuts from this. Let's hear from the mayor of London today, who was all about open borders and multiculturalism, and probably still is today.
Assalamu alaikum. I've lived in London all my life.
Assalamu
It's also
alaikum,
home to
yes.
over 1 million Muslims, whose origins are from all over the world. Arabs, South Asians, Africans and Europeans. From the curry houses of Brick Lane to the closed shops of Green Lanes and the sweet baklava of Edgware Road. The Muslim community symbolises London's diversity. The Quran
Diversity is the most important thing.
says God created us into different nations and tribes so we may get to know each other. And that's exactly what we do in London.
You know what? That's what we've been doing in the United States for a couple hundred years, you dick. I mean, that's what we've been doing for a very long time. We have celebrated diversity for decades in this country. We have Italian neighbors. We have a Chinatown. And how many towns in America? It's not because we want to ostracize the Chinese. That's where they want to go.
Living together and contributing to our society. I'm proud of my faith and my heritage.
That's neat. Yeah, I'm a Catholic, but a portion of my faith is not blowing up people.
And I'm also proud to be a Londoner and resident of this great city.
Londoner.
And I'll be proud to be mayor for all Londoners.
Mayor.
Of all different faith communities and
Mayor.
and of all nationalities. I'll work hard for everyone. This government and current mayor are letting the city and its communities down. From housing to transport, from jobs to decent pay and skills. It's time to make a difference. But I'll need your support. Just like anti-Semitism and racism, Islamophobia has...
Same thing here, by the way. Donald Trump being elected is a rise in anti-Semitism and racism. That's not happening.
no place in our great city.
Shut up.
We should feel free to express our faith identities in London without fear of harassment or attack.
What about the people who got attacked by radical Islamists, or at least one? That was an attack. That was an attack. Attacks are going to happen. Black people are going to attack white people. White people might attack black people. There's all sorts of shit going on in the world. Doesn't mean that the world is anti-Islamic. I think it's very, I think we're very forgiving, considering that 3,800 Islamic terrorist attacks happen internationally every year. That means essentially 99%, with the exception of 2. And by the way, those are under question. Last year were all attributed to Islam. Here's a little more from the mayor of London. I'll just call him Khan.
I'll work with the Met Police and ensure they have the resources they need to remove this poison from our city.
Really?
And I'll bring together different communities of London, sharing their experiences and working together to defeat the shared enemy of racism.
Whoa, racism? We're talking about radical Islamic terror.
Young Londoners who are Muslim are 3 times more likely to be out of work. They're missing out.
Oh, we're going to blame it on a socioeconomic inequality. Okay, that's it.
Opportunities that our great city has to offer. I'll fight for the powers.
You know, the same thing happens with black people, right? There are socioeconomic inequalities in the country, not directly attributed to race. There are a lot of ills in the African-American community, but they're not blowing up shit.
London needs to give our young people the skills they need to get decent, well-paid jobs.
That'll cure it. You know what? I was thinking about the caliphate, but gosh darn it, I could make $58,000 at Burger King as a manager. I don't want to take over the world anymore.
I work hard for all communities to make sure they're not failing young people.
Sure.
I'll make it a priority of mine
You
to help get young people into work, training, or apprenticeships.
Do me a favor. Don't blow up everybody and kill everybody. I'll give you an internship or some training.
too many people are held back.
Douchebag.
Because business, politics, and media
Yeah.
are missing out on the talent from ethnic minority communities.
God, you're missing the point, you ass.
As mayor, I'll promote recruitment and mentoring from Londoners of all backgrounds.
Yeah, how well is that working for you and also this country?
There's no excuse in this fantastically diverse city.
Diverse.
Business leaders, elected representatives, and the police should look and sound like the city they represent. And as mayor, I'll lead from the front.
You have to have police that are the same color as you. You have to have leadership that are the same color of you. I could give a rat's ass if somebody's white and the mayor. I live in Kansas City, Missouri. I don't give a crap that my mayor is a black guy. I don't care. Little more from this douche.
These are my 3 pledges to you. What I'll do if I'm mayor of London.
Yes. What did you do?
So if you want me to be Labour's candidate to be mayor of London,
Labour.
register as an official supporter. That way you can vote to make me Labour's candidate. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, I'm a sure. Okay, whatever, dude. Here is a terrorist, an ISIS sympathizer on social media, celebrating what happened in Manchester. I don't know what kind of person this takes, but all I know is they need to die.
In the name of Allah, the merciful, the grateful, this is only the beginning.
How could you be merciful when you kill tweens going to see a concert?
The lions of the Islamic State of Iraq and Sham are beginning to attack all the crusaders. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. American media is interesting, and I saw a couple of bites earlier today, sound bites from pop culture icon Katy Perry. I don't know why anybody would ask Katy Perry what she thinks about the attack on Ariana Grande fans. Why would you ask her? Because I don't think that she could tell you what to think about ketchup. So whatever. Elvis Duran is a pretty big deal. He's a pretty big deal as far as music radio is concerned. And nothing against Elvis Duran. He has to appeal to a demo, even though he's a guy approaching 60 years old. So he has to be still kind of maybe appealing to a younger demo. So even though he's a 60-year-old man, he has to act, hip, I guess, even though what he's espousing is just mindless pablum. Here he is interviewing Katy Perry about the attack in Manchester.
You go through these phases of you're in shock.
And again, this guy is approaching 60 years old. Listen to his voice.
You're afraid, and then you're mad, and then you want to do.
Then you're so upset. Oh my God!
Something about her that you just announced. What are your thoughts on that?
I can't really tell anyone else how they should feel, but I just feel devastated.
Yeah?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's just totally bad that people got killed. My God, I'm just so glad it wasn't my concert.
And so you should. We all should. It's a sad thing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Elvis Duran. All I needed to hear was that. Elvis Duran said that the terrorist attack in Manchester was sad. I didn't know it before he said it.
People getting together is what is supposed to be the elevating show, and they will continue. And
the thing of it
they will happen.
Yeah, totally. They'll continue. They will continue. But it gets better. It gets better. I want to mention something real quick. And I've got some T-shirts and hats and swag online at teepublic.com, teepublic.com. And you can stickers and whatnot. And I know that sounds kind of whatever, but I've done it. And one of the things is this: coexist bumper sticker that everybody has on their car. I did, you can't coexist when someone will kill you. Now, this is not an attack on Islam. It's not. It's an attack on radical Islam. It's an attack on a very large percentage of Islam internationally that wants to kill folks. And so if you believe that you can give peace a chance and you can coexist with people who want to kill you, you're an idiot. Katy Perry is an idiot. All right? Again, check out tpublic.com, teepublic.com. Look for Conservatees. Conservatees. Here's Katy Perry. Okay.
Because I think they're as much.
I want you to listen to every filler, and I'm not totally saying that I am without filling my conversation, and I work on it all the time, But here she is doing that.
Whatever we say behind people's backs, because the internet can be a little bit ruthless as far as
totally. Oh my God,
fan bases go. But I think that the greatest thing we can do is just unite and love on each other, and no barriers, no borders.
No barriers or borders. In Great Britain, there are 3,500 terrorists allegedly living there.
We all need to just coexist.
True.
We just need to coexist. And of course, Elvis Doofus, Duran agrees with her. So you keep doing that, little sheepies. You keep doing that. I'm going to say in some ways we need to give war a chance. Now, and the reason why I'm saying that is because the Trump administration has said to General James Mattis, let's annihilate ISIS. We've seen an increase of 50% of bombs being dropped on ISIS. I like that. I think it's really good. Giving peace a chance and coexisting don't work anymore. All right? It doesn't work anymore. So, on that note, we're going to move on and say goodbye to episode 99 of the Carson Show podcast. The Rob Carson Show podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. A lot of growth happening. Please share, if you would, with others on social media. We are on iTunes at Rob Carson, The Rob Carson Show. We are on Facebook, Rob Carson Show. We're on Twitter at Rob Carson. And, of course, again, if you want to buy politically incorrect swag, teespring.com. Teespring.com. Look for Conserva Tees. God bless you, and God bless the victims of terror in Manchester and throughout the world. And let's kick ISIS ass. What do you think? See you for episode number 100 next.
Thanks for listening to The Rob Carson Show. Friend him on Facebook at Carson Show, on Twitter at Rob Carson, and on Instagram. I think Facebook and Twitter are enough for now. We'll see you soon.